80 major fires are now raging across 13 US states. In Oregon, the nation's largest active wildfire has burned about 600 square miles or 1,500 square kilometres, prompting thousands of evacuations. Over 2,000 firefighters are tackling the so-called Bootleg Fire, one of the largest fires in the state's history. Well, here you can see a time-lapse from a NASA satellite, which shows the smoke moving from the west coast travelling across the country. The smoke is grey, while the clouds are white. The fires are so intense that health agencies on the US East Coast are now warning that poor air quality from the smoke poses a health hazard. Our North America correspondent Peter Bowes reports.
The effect of fires burning more than 4,000 kilometres away. Hazy skies in New York City caused by smoke from the western wildfires. Public health experts have warned that people with breathing problems should avoid being outside during the middle of the day. This monstrous fire is partly to blame, spreading rapidly through forest land about 500 kilometres southeast of Portland in Oregon. The Bootleg Fire has been burning for 2 weeks and has destroyed an area larger than the city of Los Angeles. Driven by extreme heat, strong winds and years of drought, this mega fire is ravaging the forest with an intensity rarely seen before. The air is so hot and the blaze so large that it's creating its own weather system that includes fire tornadoes. Over 2,000 firefighters are tackling this blaze, but the flames are so intense they're often forced to retreat from the front lines. This fire is spreading out of control near the California-Nevada border. It was started by lightning and is rapidly ballooning in size. So far this year, 5 times as many acres have burned in California compared with the same period in 2020. Peter Bowes, BBC News, Los Angeles.
Well, President Biden has made tackling climate change a key pillar of his presidency, and his climate czar, the former US Secretary of State and presidential contender John Kerry, has been in London this week, calling on governments to step up and set bold targets to avoid even worse impacts from climate change in the coming years. Speaking to BBC Radio's Today programme, he said that even those who have been resistant to action for years are starting to realise the consequences of inaction.
I think people who've lived through this heat dome, we've had people dying because of what is happening now. We have water shortages around the United States. We have Hoover Dam, which produces power at the lowest level of water since 1937. There are enough indicators that people are working through and suffering through, farms that are flooded, crops that don't grow anymore in one place or another, that there is now a growing awareness, I am convinced, among people that we have to do something. Now, people don't want to be stupid about it. They want to do things that don't, in fact, undo their lives. And our job is to make sure we offer this up in a way that works for people, and I think we can and are.
Well, I'm joined now by our environment correspondent, Navin Singh Khadka. I guess, Navin, the question that so many people ask is, how much change is needed, and can it be done without fundamentally changing our way of life, without having huge economic consequences?
Well, that's the tough question, isn't it? So therefore, we're hearing about how do you juggle this? You address climate change, and at the same time, how do you maintain the economy? And that is where the entire question of the base of all this is the energy. And ironically, it's the same thing that is deemed to be the culprit, the fossil fuels, which is the base. And juggling that is definitely the billion-dollar question now.
And when we see these extreme events, which we often do at this time of year, is your sense that they are escalating in scale and in number across the world?
Well, the thing is, we are seeing one after another report. One of the major ones was this year brought out by the World Meteorological Organization, and they were it's confirmed that extreme weather events are indeed accelerating. Now, can all of them be attributed to climate change? That is not clear. Some of them might be, some of them might not be, and scientists tend to avoid talking about specific event. But what they say is, by and large, what was projected and what's happening, it fits into that long-term projection, and that's why there is this increasing concern.
We're just looking at the images that we've had from the US with these wildfires. Sadly, it feels inevitable that there's going to be more of this in the coming weeks and months.
That's what is said. So, all these increasing accelerated impacts, whether it's wildfire, heat waves, floods, and so on and so forth. And the question is, can we cope? That's why scientists are also saying that apart from talking about cutting down greenhouse gases, mitigation, so to say, we also need to think about adapting to these inevitable impacts. Now, how do we do that, particularly when these impacts are accelerating? Do we have the means? Do we have the technology? Do you have the plans? These are the questions that are coming up now.
OK, Navin Singh Khadka, thank you very much.